Now you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the newest wave of 6-inch DC Multiverse figures from Mattel. Now this is the wave that features the Lex Luthor Rebirth Collect and Connect figure, and in this wave includes the Vixen, the Rebirth Wonder Woman figure, Gotham by Gaslight Batman, and then the Ray figure. Now all of these come packaged in the same style that we've been seeing with the modern multiverse figures. You've got that blue box, you've got the figures clearly displayed in the window packaging. Up at the top you've got the names of the characters, off to the side you've got some artwork for the characters, and then down below you've got the DC Multiverse logo. On the sides of the packaging you again just have the same artwork that was on the front for each of the characters. Okay, and then on the back of the packaging we have a look at all 4 figures in this wave, as well as the Rebirth Lex Luthor Collect and Connect figure. Then up at the top we've got additional artwork for each of the characters and brief bios in multiple languages. So Vixen, Rebirth Wonder Woman, Gotham City Gaslight Batman, and the Ray. Now one thing I want to note here is there are a couple of figures that Mattel originally showed for this wave that are not shown here, were not initially released with the wave itself. So the most notable of those is the Simon Baz Green Lantern figure, and then there was also a variant version of Ray with translucent plastic. But again, they are not being released with the initial batch of figures in this wave, nor do you need them to complete the basic Lex Luthor figure. Also, there are 2 other store exclusive versions that are part of this wave that are already out now as Walmart exclusives, and that's the Harley Quinn and Spoiler figures that has the dark side alternate head and mother box for the Collect and Connect figure. And again, those figures are out now. I reviewed them several weeks ago. All right, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, and here's a look at all 4 figures outside the packaging along with their other contents. Now you can see here I've got the Collect and Connect pieces displayed with each of the figures. The way they break down is you get the legs with the Rebirth Wonder Woman figure, you get the arms with the Ray figure, the torso section comes with the Vixen figure, and then the head and cape come with the Batman figure. Now I will be putting these together and taking a look at the Lex Luthor Collect and Connect figure at the end of this video. Okay, now the accessories that are included for the figures themselves, starting with Wonder Woman. She comes with an extra right hand, a closed-fisted right hand. You get the pair of grip hands, and then you get this extra right hand that is closed-fisted. And then for her, she also comes with a sword, and this is done. You've got the silver on the blade, and then the red wrapping, and the metallic gold on the handle. You also have this little loop. The sword is made with a pretty soft rubber, so the blade might be a little warped when you take it out of the packaging. You can see mine's a little bent, so you might want to take a hairdryer if that happens. And then with this loop here on the end of the handle, technically she's got this little thing that sticks out here on her belt, and that's primarily made for her lasso, but I guess if you wanted to, you could put this on there as well, but it's going to kind of stick out a little bit, so I don't know, I don't think that works too well, but I guess if you wanted to try and play with it, you could do that. And then of course, because she has 2 grip hands, she can hold the sword in either the left or the right hand, and she does hold the sword nice and tight. And then the final thing that she comes with are 2 versions of her magic lasso. So you get this extended version, and you get the little ridges sculpted so it looks like actual rope with the metallic gold. This is made with a rubber material, so it is pretty flexible. You've got with this one, you've got a larger loop on one end and a smaller one on the other. Neither loop is really big enough to put around a figure or anything, but you can hold this. You know, you can put her in 2-handed grip poses with this version of the lasso. And then the second version of the lasso is the lasso completely rolled up in a loop, and again it's done with that rubber material with the metallic gold and the ridges sculpted in there. And this is the one that you really want to put on her belt, so hook on that little loop there and put on her belt, and that one does stay on there pretty good. Batman comes with an extra pair of hands, so these are grip hands. This left hand here and this right hand here that you can see attached are really more for holding the little knives that he comes with, and you can see here these are included. These are in these little pouches when you take the figure out of the packaging, but they are removable, and they're done with just a black rubber material, so not a whole lot of detailing, but you can see they're sculpted to look like little knives, and they do fit nice and tight in these little pouches, so you don't really have to worry about these falling out. They are very tiny, but you know, again, with these hands that have the fingers that are kind of sticking out, you can stick these knives in between the fingers and he will hold those pretty decently. The other pairs of hands that he come with are just normal grip hands. Vixen only comes with one accessory, and it's the spirit form of an eagle. So this is made to mimic her power. She assumes the abilities of animals, and when she does that, basically you'll see like a ghost form of the animal form around her, and that's what this is supposed to represent. So I'm not sure if this is like, looks like maybe a reuse from something else, but it's done with a purple translucent plastic to give you that kind of spirit form look. The wings are actually articulated, and you've got some sculpting detail on the feathers and everything. So it looks pretty good, but there's not much you can do with this thing. It really doesn't attach to the figure in any way that I can tell. And, you know, like I said, it's really supposed to mimic her powers. So, I mean, the best thing I would suggest is you know, if you could find some way to have it hovering over the figure, that would probably be the best way to use this thing. But they don't include any kind of stand. And like I said, it doesn't look like, you know, it attaches. It does, you know, these little feet are too small to go around her wrist even. But even if you could put it on her wrist, you know, it's not like the bird's supposed to sit on her arm or something, because it's really, again, it's not a real animal. It's just supposed to be representing her abilities. And then finally, with the Ray figure, you get a pair of alternate hands. So you've got the closed-fisted hands that are attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging. Then you get a pair of grip hands. And then finally with Ray, you get an alternate head. So the one that's attached to the figure when you first take it out of the packaging is the normal looking head, where he's just got a normal expression. And then this alternate head, he is smiling. And here's a better look at the alternate smiling head attached to the figure. Okay, now for the figures themselves, out of the four, my least favorite is probably the Batman figure, and the primary reason for that is I don't really like the way the cape looks on it. They've used that cloth material, the soft goods type material that we've been seeing with more and more of the Batman figures in this line, and the main reason why I don't like it, I'm not a huge fan of the soft goods period, but with this particular figure, I don't like how the material kind of bunches up as it goes under the shoulder pads there. The shoulder pads are done with a rubber type material, and they don't look bad, but they definitely limit the arm movement on the figure, so I don't really like that either. But I definitely don't like the way the cloth looks. The rest of the figure is not too bad. I like the stitching detail on the bat symbol, and the detailing on the belt with the lighter wash color looks pretty good. And then the head sculpt's not too bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. The ears are made with a rubber material, so they might come out of the packaging a little bit bent. But overall, you know, the look of the figure is not too bad other than the cape, and that's the main reason why I don't like this figure. The rest of the figure just incorporates the basic gray colors on the outfit that we see with Batman, along with the black on the gloves and the boots. Now with the Vixen figure, the Ray, and the Wonder Woman figure, those four are all pretty solid looking figures. I do have some minor complaints, especially with the female figures, and that's in regards to the legs. So you can see here on Wonder Woman, you can see these seams that go up the middle of the legs. We've seen that before. We saw that in the prototype images for the Linda Carter Wonder Woman figure that they were doing. So I don't know what it is with female figures and these lines they have up the middle of the legs. But on the Vixen figure, you've got them as well, but they don't stand out quite as badly because she's got the pants on, the yellow pants. But with Wonder Woman, with the skin tone, it definitely, you notice it, and I just, you know, I don't really like that. Otherwise, the figure is pretty solid. The skirt piece is made with a rubber material. You've got the metallic gold, and then you've got this maroon red color on her midsection, and then you've got the metallic gold on her chest there, and then on the arms, and you've got the metallic silver for the wrist bracelets that she's wearing. The boots, she's wearing those knee boots with the red and the metallic gold. So all of that looks pretty good. Skin tone is not too bad. Face sculpt is not fantastic, but it's not horrible either. And you can see, I think the Icon Wonder Woman figure that they did for Rebirth, actually the head sculpt looks better, and I'll show you a comparison in just a moment. Looks like maybe she has a little too much blush on. I don't know. She's got the red lipstick and the blue eyes. She's got the tiara that she's wearing with the metallic gold and the red star, and then they've given her this light blue or dark blue wash with the black hair, and the hair is made with a pretty hard rubber material, but it doesn't limit too much of the head movement. Vixen isn't too bad, but again, I have some minor complaints. So first of all, the head sculpt is pretty decent as far as the sculpting goes, and paint applications aren't too bad. She's got the gold loop earrings, and they've given her a wash on her hair, a lighter brown color with the black, and the eyes look pretty good and everything, so no complaints there. But I do want to note that the skin tone on her face and neck is darker than what you see on her arms here, so that stands out a little bit. The costume is done with just this basic yellow color. There's really no wash or anything, a mustard type yellow. And then you've got the black here on the midsection and on the back. You've got these markings here at her waist that are just painted on there. The wrist bracelets are also painted with the metallic gold and black. So, and the amulet is done with metallic silver. Now this is sculpted, it's not just painted. So it does, you know, it's kind of bumpy there, but not super detailed either. And that's an important part of the character, that amulet. So a little more detail on that might have been nice. But again, my biggest complaint probably just comes with these lines that come up the middle of the legs. And while they're not nearly as noticeable on the Vixen as they are with Wonder Woman, I still don't really like that. Now the Ray figure is probably the best looking figure of the four. I have really no complaints. I guess a small minor one is the metallic gold here on these shoulders are a little bit different shade than what you see on the jacket, but it's not that noticeable. And then you've just got the black and the white and everything. So again, I think this is probably the best looking figure of the four. The head sculpt looks good. He's got the fin on the top there, which is done with a hard plastic. The coat is a separate piece, though the sleeves of the coat are sculpted on there, so you could take the vest portion off, but you'd be left with the black sleeves, so it would look pretty funny. And then underneath, you've just got a pretty clean white with the metallic gold striping, and same with the legs and everything. But like I said, out of the four figures, I think the Ray figure is probably the best looking of the bunch. Now for articulation on these figures, it's pretty much the same across the board. You do have, with the male figures, you've got actual ab crunch joints, and then with the female figures, you've got more of a swivel joint there at the midsection. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same articulation. You can turn the heads to the left and to the right. You get some up and down movement, but not a whole lot. And then with the arms, you can get the arms out pretty good. Now, again, with the Batman figure with these big shoulder pads, the arm movement is significantly limited. You can get the arm out only about that much, and then rotating the arm all the way around is near impossible. You get, as I mentioned, the male figures have actual ab crunch joints, so they can crunch forward pretty good, and then they can look back pretty good there as well. You get waist swivels. With the legs, they've incorporated the more updated articulation. No longer do we have those side hinge joints. So they can do the splits pretty good and get the leg forward good and can do the leg out and back. You get thigh swivels. You get double jointed knees with these. With the arms, you only get single hinged, which is disappointing. Even with the male figures, you only get the single hinge knee or elbows, and then you get rotation. You get a bicep swivel, and then you also get some rotation, a little rotation with the elbows themselves. You also have hinges on the hands, so you get back and forth movement and rotation there. And then going back to the legs, you get the double hinge knees, so pretty good bending there. And then you do get ankle pivot with these, and you get the back and forth movement. And 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, now scale-wise, Batman is probably the tallest with his ears sticking up just a little bit over Ray and Wonder Woman, and Vixen is the shortest. So Batman here stands right just under 7 inches tall, and then the Vixen figure is closer to 6.5 inches tall. The Ray and the Wonder Woman figures are about the same height, and they're just a hair shorter than Batman due to the ears. Just for a quick comparison, I've thrown in the Mattel Multiverse Rebirth Superman figure and Batman figure, and you can see Superman is maybe a little bit taller than Wonder Woman there, and the Rebirth Batman is actually shorter than the Gaslight Batman. And then one last comparison, here's a look at that DC Icons Rebirth Wonder Woman figure, which you can actually see is taller than the DC Multiverse figures. This Icon Wonder Woman figure was a rare exception where they made her really tall. But the main thing between these two is I like the face sculpt a little bit better on the Icons version, but actually maybe like the detailing on the outfit and everything on the DC Multiverse version over the Icons version. Okay, now moving on to the Collect and Connect figure, which honestly is probably the best thing about this wave. Now you'll see that I've also pulled out the extra alternate Darkseid head and mother box that came with that Spoiler and Harley Quinn figures, which do go to this Collect and Connect figure. But putting this this thing together is pretty easy overall. You probably want to start with the torso section, and first thing you can do is just pop on the head here. I do want to note that I've got a lot of scratch paint here on the neck area. You can see some blue sticking through. I don't think it'll be that noticeable once you actually pop the head on, but I just wanted to point that out. And then you've got these shoulder pads, which are rubber material. They're not really articulated, but you can bend them up because they're made with a rubber material. So I can see some stress on the plastic there, so you might want to be a little bit careful, but you do have to kind of lift them up in order to get the arms in there. And what you want to do is just, push in, and they should pop into place. You might have to use a little bit of pressure to really get them to pop in the first time, but once they do pop in, they should fit in there pretty tight. And then we'll do it on this side as well. And as I always say, make sure you get the right arm in the right side and the left arm in the left side. And like I said, when you put these in, like the first couple of times, especially these arms, which is kind of hard to with these shoulder pads, it might take a little bit of muscle strength to really push those in. And then finally, you want to just take the legs and you want to push them in here, and they should just pop into place. And then once you have the body completely put together, the final thing you want to attach is the cape. And what you want to do with that is you've got a little slit here on the back, and then you've got this little thing that sticks out on the back here, and you just slide that into the slit, and it should fit on there pretty good. It'll kind of, the cape will kind of hang out in the back there a little bit, but it does hang pretty well. The cape is made with a rubber material, so I'm glad they didn't go with soft goods with this. Okay, so here's a look at the figure fully assembled, and the detailing on the armor is really nice. The S symbol is sculpted. I do have a little bit of a red scratch there on the metallic silver. Not too big a deal, but otherwise, I think it looks good. You've got the red border there. You've got the red on the collar, and then it's done with kind of a blue plastic. You've also got the red here on the arms and the black there. So overall, and I like the head sculpt. I think it really looks like Lex Luthor. I think they did a good job with that, and the skin tone is pretty solid as well. As I mentioned before, the cape is done with that rubber type material. It's not soft goods, which is nice. And then you've got some nice sculpting detail on the leg portions. So I think they've done a good job with capturing the look of the armor with this one. And again, probably the best figure in this wave is the Collect and Connect. And here's a look at the figure with the alternate dark side head holding the mother box. Now I will say, it really doesn't hold the way that the hands are sculpted. It really doesn't hold the mother box very well. You can kind of just sit it in there, but if you move it at all, that's going to fall right out. And then the head sculpt, it doesn't, I wouldn't say the blue is maybe a little bit different shade. And you can, the neck, seeing the neck looks kind of funny to me, but still, I think it works pretty good, and it's a nice alternative for the figure. And this figure stands right about 8 inches tall. And here's a comparison with the Rebirth Multiverse Superman figure that Mattel released. Articulation on this one is in keeping with the other figures in the wave. You can turn the head to the left and to the right, and he can look down and he can look up pretty good as well. So that's nice for flight type poses. With the arms, even though he does have the shoulder pads, you can still get the arm out pretty good. Now rotation, you're going to have to kind of push those shoulder pads up if you want to rotate the arms all the way around, but you can do it. He has the bicep swivel. He has a single hinged elbow, unfortunately, and does not have rotation at the elbow, just the bicep swivel. And then he has rotation with the hands, but he does not have hinges on the hands. He has an ab crunch joint, so he can only crunch forward a little bit, and he can look back a bit there. He does have a waist swivel. The legs, he can do the splits pretty good, and then he can get his leg forward good, and he can do his leg out and back. He does have a thigh swivel. He's got double jointed knees, so pretty good bending there at the knees. And then with the feet, you've got the hinges, so you've got up and down movement, and you do have ankle pivot. Now with this one, you do not have any peg holes on the bottom of the feet. That's my review. So overall, I would say I definitely think the best thing about this wave is the Collect and Connect Lex Luthor figure. I really like the detailing with the armor and everything on it. I think they did a really nice job with that. And even if you're not super thrilled with the other figures in the wave, just getting them so you can complete that Lex is probably worth it. Now this wave is starting to hit shelves. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel by hitting that button down below. You should also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And of course, you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.